Welcome back to the deep dive. You handed us a stack of sources that promised some serious high-stakes drama in Salem, and honestly, they absolutely deliver, like on a huge scale.
Yeah, this isn't your standard soap mix-up.
No, we are talking genuine corporate espionage, like meticulously faked near-death experiences,
Okay.
and this incredibly complicated adoption conspiracy that's being actively covered up
Yeah.
with, like, fake legal paperwork.
It's a really explosive stack, you're right.
Mhm.
So our mission today is basically to give you the ultimate shortcut, get you informed on the most thrilling, the most crucial bits from these early September spoilers for Days of Our Lives.
Right.
We're drilling down into, well, it's like 3 big parallel plots.
Yeah.
The really intense corporate schemes over at Titan, some deep-seated family secrets involving some unexpected returns, and these mysteries that are only just starting to get untangled, like forensically.
Absolutely. And the headlines alone, they just hook you right in, don't they? They set the stage perfectly. We're covering the week leading up to and including September 8th through the 12th. And our sources pointed out 2 massive events for that week, kind of like our main tent poles for the story. Tony DiMera is apparently going to be absolutely thrilled with some discovery.
Okay, thrilled Tony. Got it.
And Steve Johnson is going to be digging really deep into some shocking secrets. So to really unpack the level of deception needed for Tony to be thrilled and Steve to be digging, we kind of have to start at the beginning of the week.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is just how much crucial stuff is packed into those first few days of September. It really highlights how the emotional chaos, like, Xander's rage or Chanel and Johnny's despair, it's completely tangled up with these high-level corporate takeover plots.
Totally intertwined.
You really can't separate the personal damage from the, professional sabotage in Salem. It just doesn't work that way.
Okay, so let's unpack this, starting Wednesday, September 3rd. And let's focus first on Xander Cook. I mean, the guy is desperately in need of some kind of intervention, right?
Yeah.
And he's finally on Marlena Evans' couch for an anger management session. But this isn't just like a simple therapy check-in. This sounds more like digging up decades of resentment.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Marlena, using that famous psychiatric insight, she immediately gets that Xander isn't just mildly irritated. No, he's holding these deep, really unforgiven grudges against almost everyone who's ever wronged him.
Right.
And the sources specifically call out 2 main targets right now, people in his immediate circle, Sarah Horton and Philip Kyriakis.
But it sounds like the grudges go even deeper than just, recent romance or business stuff. The speculation in the sources also brings up his mother, Fiona Cook, or maybe even, and I quote, maybe not anybody ever, which kind of suggests that Xander's rage is almost systemic. Like, it's not just one person. It's a reaction to the whole Kyriakis dynasty and what they expect.
That's exactly the insight.
Yeah.
It's not just a few recent slights. It's like a lifetime of these emotional knots that Marlene is trying to untangle. Her goal is to really dig into the source of that anger.
Yeah.
And the sources are pretty clear. They're guiding us, suggesting the core issues come directly from things Philip and Sarah did. Now, the dramatic irony here is, well, Xander's currently sharing a CEO office with one of those main targets, Philip.
And that shared office is basically ground zero for the whole corporate espionage plot, because at the same time, you've got Gabi Hernandez running her own operation.
Right.
She's spying on both Philip and Xander using that infamous bug, the microphone pin she planted in their office.
Gabi's role here is purely tactical. She's not just watching, she's actively manipulating. On Wednesday, Gabi actually encourages Philip during a chat.
Okay.
Now, based on what we're told, we kind of have to assume this encouragement is totally based on intel she overheard from the wiretap.
Right.
She might be feeding him calculated advice, or maybe just enough praise to keep his confidence up, while also making sure he makes strategic blunders that help her own agenda.
It's actually a brilliant, really subtle act of sabotage. She's the puppet master in this whole corporate fight.
Totally.
And if you connect this to the bigger picture, Gabi's trying to subtly weaken Philip from the inside, right? Gathering intel for her real ally, Tony DiMera. And the plot moves super fast because by Thursday, Gabi's already updating Tony about what's happening at Titan.
And this leads directly to one of those big headlines we mentioned. The sources say Tony is super excited and absolutely thrilled to find out Gabi planted the microphone pin.
Right.
But it's important to clarify, Tony isn't thrilled about the information Gabi has yet, necessarily. He's thrilled that the plan itself is moving forward. that Gabi's successfully infiltrated, the highest level of Titan.
That excitement, it's all tied up in the DiMera legacy, isn't it? Tony's thrilled because this isn't just business competition for him.
Right.
It's about getting back what the DiMeras see as rightfully theirs. We have to remember, throughout Salem history, the DiMera family, especially through Stefano's scheming, always saw Titan as this prize to be won or, absorbed.
Exactly. Tony's personal investment in Titan succeeding well, actually, in the Kyriakis family failing to keep controls incredibly high. Their ultimate goal, the sources confirm this, is for Gabi to get the company back for Tony.
Right.
So this spying, it's the first really crucial step towards hitting that big dynastic goal.
Speaking of Philip, let's shift to Thursday, September 4th. The drama kind of moves from that subtle spying to outright psychological warfare right there in the Titan office.
Yeah.
Philip Kyriakis either genuinely starts choking or, and this is the really wild part, he's realistically faking it, like a near-fake death situation.
It's a spectacular move, really audacious. The sources point out that Xander, even though he's fresh out of that anger management session with Marlena,
right,
he rushes over to do the Heimlich maneuver on his, quote, scheming, lying, tricking brother. The internal conflict for Xander in that moment must be just immense.
I don't know, though. I find it hard to buy that Philip is fake and choking just to test Xander. Isn't that, incredibly high risk? What if Xander hesitated for, 2 seconds? What if he thought, Marlena said I need to deal with my grudges and Philip's number one? It just seems like a level of mind game that's almost self-destructive.
But that's precisely why it's being theorized as a test.
Yeah.
It is high risk, but potentially high reward for Philip.
I guess.
Our sources specifically speculate this whole thing is a calculated loyalty test orchestrated by Philip to poke at Xander. He's putting himself in this really vulnerable spot to see if Xander, who he knows is boiling with totally justified rage against him, would choose the Kyriakis name, the family obligation, over his own personal vendetta.
And the expectation is that Xander should pass this test with flying colors, because if he lets Philip drop dead, sure, he might get control of Titan, but he's guaranteed to face the, moral and legal fallout.
Right.
But if he saves him, he shows commitment, maybe even solidifies his position, even though Philip is literally tricking him. This scene just perfectly captures that deep internal conflict Marlena's trying to fix.
Meanwhile, away from all the corporate games, the DiMera family tensions are still bubbling up. Johnny DiMera and Chanel Dupree run into E.J. DiMera right after leaving their apartment.
Oh, boy. And
Johnny is still really, really upset about E.J.'s, quote, antics at the trial.
Johnny's anger just seems endless. What's interesting, though, is the speculation that E.J. might try to smooth things over with Johnny by revealing something pretty big.
What's that?
Apparently, the verdict in the trial was actually going to be an acquittal, but it just never got read because of some other drama.
Oh, wow. Okay. That should normally be a moment of redemption, right?
You'd think.
Yeah.
But the sources suggest Johnny will just stay unimpressed. He won't give EJ any credit at all.
Yeah, because the damage done by EJ's manipulation during the legal process, it doesn't matter what the technical outcome was, it's destroyed whatever fragile trust the family had left. Johnny sees the maneuver, not the result.
And their personal turmoil is immediately hitting their future plans. Which brings us back to this recurring theme of parenthood. Chanel still desperately wants to adopt a baby again. But the big question now is whether Johnny's recent, very public past, being accused of murder and attempted murder, is going to create new serious adoption hurdles for them.
Definitely.
Even if he was acquitted, that public record of the accusations, it's a huge red flag for any adoption agency.
And these hurdles seem pretty universal within the Salem adoption system, it looks like. We also have Javi Hernandez wanting to adopt his Sorrow, but here, the death of his previous daughter is being described as a big obstacle.
Okay, yeah, this is one of the biggest emotional hooks introduced this week, according to the sources.
It is.
It's a huge mystery. We need to spend a sec on this. What were the circumstances, the mystery circumstances, they called them, that caused him to lose his child? Was it a tragic illness, an accident, or, this is Salem. Was it the result of some dark secret or some past fight?
The fact that the sources specifically label the death of his daughter a big obstacle strongly suggests that Hadi's history might involve some level of, perceived fault or public scrutiny, not just a simple, unavoidable tragedy. An adoption agency would do intense background checks, right?
Right.
And if his history involves unresolved questions about parental fitness or maybe negligence, that whole process is going to get derailed. That past tragedy is clearly going to play a huge, maybe even devastating role in his current attempt to adopt Tesoro.
Okay, let's maybe pivot away from the super high-stakes corporate stuff and the legal hurdles for a minute.
Okay.
So let's go to the slightly lighter, but still pretty dramatically packed area of Salem, the big college move-in.
Ah, yes.
Everybody is apparently heading off to Salem University, though conveniently they're all staying right there in Salem, which keeps all the drama nice and centralized.
It's the annual Salem U Exodus. And the dynamics of the family send-offs are actually quite telling. We see Maggie, the Kyriakis matriarch, helping Holly Jonas get settled into her dorm room. And who's she sharing with? Allie Horton.
Okay.
Which really shows Maggie stepping up as this stable parental figure for Holly while her own family is dealing with various crises.
And meanwhile, Gabi is also there, hugging Allie goodbye, which is just a great snapshot of the super complicated blended families in Salem, isn't it?
Totally.
You've got Maggie, a Kyriakis, helping the late Daniel Jonas's kid, and Gabi, a DiMera powerhouse, sending off her stepdaughter Allie, who's a Horton Brady. It's a lot.
And Tate Black also seems to be moving into the dorms. He gives Marlena a hug while Brady looks on. Marlena's involvement there just underlines her role as the kind of emotional center for all the Brady Black DiMera clans. Which immediately brings up the roommate speculation, right? The sources point right to it. Is Aaron Green going to be Tate's roommate?
Oh my gosh. If Aaron Green, Tate's main rival for Holly's attention, becomes his official roommate, the dramatic potential is just off the chart.
Astronomical.
Think about it. The emotional friction just from living together, plus their existing rivalry over Holly, it's going to be a total powder keg. Especially when you factor in that huge fan theory about Aaron and Tate's parentage that pops up later in the week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the relationship complications are already starting on move-in day.
Yeah.
The sources drop this very specific little nugget. Tate and Holly managed to have some sexy time, or let's just say intimate time.
Okay. In the dorm room already.
In the dorm room. Classic soap trope, right?
Yeah.
New dorm, instant intimacy locale.
Always.
The consequence of this little rendezvous is that Allie, their roommate, had to inconveniently go hang out with Aaron. And the sources note that both Allie and Aaron are left feeling stuck because of this forced hangout and inconvenience.
That stuck feeling, that's fertile ground for a new relationship, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
They're basically bonding over being annoyed and dealing with the logistical nightmare Tate and Holly created. It's such a typical Salem setup, external pressures forcing these unexpected connections.
And speaking of unexpected connections, the sources mention that Kat Green does some bonding with Brady this week. This is called out as kind of interesting, which usually implies it might be a significant relationship to keep an eye on. Kat's usually linked to the DiMeras, right? Like EJ. So her connecting with Brady, who's currently fighting the DiMera establishment over this whole adoption conspiracy, it's a curious dynamic.
Yeah, definitely.
We also need to note that Brady and Marlena have a serious chat on Wednesday. This is right when Marlena is dealing with Xander and starting to gear up for her own deepening nightmares. It's highly speculated this conversation is Brady catching Marlena up on all the mounting questions around the adoption, specifically the discovery of that fake stock photo.
Right, the big red flag.
Exactly. Marlena's the only one he trusts completely, and he needs her advice before things really escalate legally.
Okay, so this takes us right into the heart of that adoption conspiracy, the one where Steve Johnson has promised to be digging really deep. The investigation Brady and Steve are running is definitely escalating. It's moving beyond just suspicion into actual evidence gathering.
And their main piece of evidence, the big red flag that kicked this whole thing off, is that fake stock photo of the supposed adoptive parents in Sophia Choi's story.
It was such a lazy mistake, wasn't it, for such a high-stakes conspiracy?
Incredibly lazy. So Steve is now using all his detective skills to figure out if the next set of paperwork they get, the official documents, are real, or if they are, as they suspect, completely faked.
Steve's commitment to digging deep is really being tested here. He's up against professional, sophisticated deception, not just some simple lie.
Right.
This is where the conspiracy shifts from just a personal lie to a full-blown criminal operation.
And what's truly mind-blowing here is the defensive counter-move coming from the other side, led by Melinda Trask. Melinda, the district attorney, is actively working on fabricating some fake adoption papers herself. She's not just covering up the initial lie, she's committing a new act of legal fraud to create a false trail.
It's just, wow.
Her goal is blunt. Try to convince Brady and his allies to just back off by throwing a bunch of falsified official-looking documents at them.
It's jaw-dropping a DA forging documents. The paradox is, this aggressive move, meant to shut down the investigation, is the one thing most likely to send Melinda straight to prison if Steve manages to prove the documents are fakes.
Exactly. Steve's a seasoned investigator. He's not going to be fooled by slightly doctored papers.
Yeah.
He'll be looking for provenance, chain of custody, authentication watermarks, the works. And making it even more serious, the sources reveal there's another unnamed lawyer who is conspiring and helping to cover for Melinda.
Oh, so it's not just her.
No. This signifies it's not a one-person cover-up. It's a sophisticated, high-level legal conspiracy involving multiple professionals, which raises the stakes for potential Argo charges, in the fictional world of Salem.
Meanwhile, another huge legal fate is decided this week, and it's totally connected to the adoption saga. Kristen DiMera gets her prison sentence.
Right.
Johnny and Bella there, which kind of highlights the family division, right? The legal minds versus the convicted.
And the stakes here are absolutely astronomical because Brady is pushing for the maximum sentence.
Okay.
Our sources specifically speculate this could be 30 to life, which, for a crime involving kidnapping or obstruction, 30 years is incredibly severe. It signals a potentially really bad outcome for Kristen.
That maximum sentence would have immediate, devastating ripple effects, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It guarantees that if Kristen is locked up for that long, the emotional fallout will be instant, especially hitting Rachel, her daughter, who we know is already pretty volatile. Brady pushing for the max just underscores how deep his bitterness and sense of betrayal run over this adoption lie.
This specific legal outcome is going to define the whole next phase of the DiMera versus Brady conflict. If Kristen gets 30 years, yeah, it validates Brady's intense push for justice, but it also cements him as the villain in Rachel's eyes, setting up a brutal custody battle down the line if Kristen ever manages some legal miracle and gets out.
Okay, Friday, September 5th. It brings a brief but a very tense pause for celebration. Jack Devereaux and Jennifer Horton are back in town for JJ's birthday, which was technically Wednesday the 3rd, but...
Close enough for Salem.
Exactly. A family reunion that should be happy, but of course, this being Salem, it just ramps up the social tension.
And Chad DiMera is immediately apprehensive. He's basically walking on eggshells, totally worried about Jack and Jennifer's reaction to his growing romantic interest in Kat.
Right.
Chad knows their history with Kat's previous schemes, especially the ones tied to the ISA and her targeting EJ.
But Chad's worries are about to get fast-tracked by Salem's most enthusiastic and often most damaging gossip. Julie Williams.
Oh, Julie.
Of course. Our sources predict Julie is expected to get out in front of it and blab about Chad and Kat getting closer, basically poisoning the well, before Jennifer even gets a chance to see the situation for herself.
And Julie, being Julie, won't just talk in general terms.
Oh, no.
She'll use specific damaging details.
Like what?
She might reveal the fact that Chad spent several days shacked up at Kat's apartment when they both had strep throat.
Ooh, yeah. That kind of close quarters recovery. It sends a very specific message about how intimate and committed their relationship is getting, especially to someone traditional like Jennifer.
Exactly. And it's not just Kat herself setting off alarms. It's who she's hanging out with. Kat and Gwen Ritchek are becoming friends.
Oh, that's an interesting pairing.
And that alliance is noted specifically as a trigger that will rub Jennifer and Julie Williams both the wrong way.
Why?
Well, they despise Kat because of her history manipulating the Dimers, right? And they despise Gwen for her long torture history with Jack and Jennifer. The sources say they hate both women for related reasons.
Okay.
Which suggests both Kat and Gwen share this history of messing up the lives of Salem's prominent families, usually through lies, schemes, or working for outside forces against the status quo. So this friendship basically guarantees Jennifer and Julie will see Chad's choice as a complete betrayal of their family values.
So Chad's worried about Kat, but he knows she can handle herself now, being EJ's assistant and all.
Right.
But his bigger worry is still Jennifer's reaction to seeing Kat again. The woman who kind of represents a total break from his safe, predictable family life.
Yet, amidst all this social chaos, we do get a small, kind of poignant moment of family hope. Gwen and Jack have a heart-to-heart in the Salem Town Square.
Oh.
And Jack extends this huge olive branch. He invites Gwen to JJ's birthday party. And Gwen's response is just incredibly honest and vulnerable. She says, "Why would I go? Everybody there hates me."
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty raw.
That vulnerability lets Jack remind her that he doesn't hate her. And this is seen as a crucial step forward in their very rocky relationship. It suggests maybe some genuine family connection, perhaps the only one Gwen really wants, might still be possible for her, despite all the hostility from the Hortons and Devereaux.
That's actually nice for a change.
Right. And finally, we cap off the week with a tense confrontation involving the younger crowd. Tate catches Sophia Choi in a lie.
Okay.
Now, given everything we know about the escalating adoption conspiracy with Sophia and the fake documents, we kind of have to speculate.
He confronts her about the photo.
Exactly. He confronts her specifically about that fake stock photo that Brady and Steve are investigating.
The narrative pieces are all lining up for him to blow the lid off that initial flimsy part of the cover-up, aren't they?
Totally. If Tate confronts Sophia, he immediately puts himself right in the middle of the adult legal drama. And that could potentially alert Melinda Trask that her new fake papers need to be rushed before Brady and Sting get definitive proof. Okay, so now we move into the actual week highlighted in those headline spoilers, starting September 8th. This is where the long-term stakes get even higher, the mysteries really deepen, and it sets up the immediate future of Salem.
All right, but first, just a quick breath of fresh air. We noted Julie is happily owning the bookstore now, planning a grand reopening, running a new book club.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to see Julie channeling her dramatic energy into literature instead of, litigation and gossip, for a second anyway.
Agreed. Just for a second. Because that brief moment of calm is quickly overshadowed by the darkness of the legal fallout. Rachel Black is expected to absolutely spiral out of control once she finds out how long Kristen's prison sentence actually is.
Yeah, if Brady successfully gets that 30 years, Rachel's emotional core is just going to shatter.
And our sources predict this emotional spiral leads directly to a betrayal that hits Chad hard.
Oh, so...
Rachel might blab about seeing Chad and Kat kissing, even though Marlena specifically told her not to.
Oh, wow.
That small, angry piece of gossip, delivered when she's despairing about her mom's fate. It could have huge immediate consequences for Chad's relationship with the Deverell Horton side of his family. It basically ensures his social isolation.
Speaking of Chad, he's clearly falling for Kat, which brings up that crucial deal-breaker question the sources post.
Right.
Will Kat's previous really sophisticated lies about working for the ISA, targeting EJ, will that be the breaking point for Chad? Especially given her pattern of other smaller lies.
It's a huge question. Chad's history is just filled with betrayal, right? Abigail, Gabi, others.
Yeah.
They've all deceived him profoundly.
Yeah.
So if he finds out Kat has maintained this deep fundamental lie about her identity or her past alliances, it basically validates all his family's fears and probably derails the relationship completely. The fact that he's even contemplating a future with her despite this fear really shows how strongly he's drawn to her.
Meanwhile, we've got potentially new DiMera alignments forming on the horizon. There's strong speculation that Gwen and EJ could be getting closer.
Ooh, now that would be an absolutely explosive pairing.
Right. Gwen's the town outcast, rejected by her biological family. EJ's the calculating, often vengeful DiMera patriarch trying to claw back respect after his trial mess.
They both share that history of being outsiders, and they both have a connection to the DiMera legacy, EJ by birthright, Gwen through marriage and association. An alliance between those two. It would guarantee future schemes of just epic proportions.
Okay, let's circle back to Brady and Steve's investigation. The second part of our big headline hook, the digging deep storyline, they're expected to piece together the fake adoption scheme. But here's where the fan theories get really interesting, and our sources actually validate bringing them into the potential official story.
Yeah, the idea of a sneaky DNA test on Tate. It isn't just fan speculation anymore. The sources strongly hint that Steve and Brady might just jump straight to this drastic measure.
Okay, but let's pause why Aaron Green specifically. We need to remind listeners of the history here because this theory is, like, nuclear.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
The prevailing fan logic, it's rooted in the known timeline of Tate's conception and, let's be honest, the historical pattern of manipulated parentage in Salem.
True.
If Aaron, who we know is Tate's rival for Holly, turns out to be his biological half-brother, maybe the result of some forgotten DiMera or Kyriakis plot.
Yeah.
It completely flips their rivalry dynamic upside down.
Oh, wow.
It turns basic teen drama into a full-blown dynastic feud.
And the stakes for Brady, who's already pushing for the max sentence against Kristen, they suddenly become astronomical.
Totally.
If he finds out the child he fought so hard for, the kid he sees as his anchor, isn't biologically his right as he's condemning the biological mother, that level of emotional devastation makes the whole adoption conspiracy look like a schoolyard argument. If they actually go for that DNA test, it's the biggest event of this whole cycle.
And if Steve and Brady do jump ahead to that DNA test, it could instantly prove or completely debunk that really persistent rumor. This is the moment where they're digging deep, could unearth a secret that nobody, maybe not even Melinda Trask, ever saw coming.
And while all this high-level legal deception and potential parentage drama is happening, the teen stuff continues to ramp up, too. Sophia is expected to get more intense with her jealousy over Tate and Holly, especially now they're closer and living on campus. Our sources predict she is going to play dirty soon.
Well, given we've already seen she's capable of that initial complex lie about the adoption, we know she can pull off significant deceit. If she gets intense and plays dirty, she could maybe even exploit the information Tate caught her lying about. Use the adult adoption drama for her own petty teen revenge scheme.
Ugh. Okay, on a darker, more metaphysical note, Marlena's nightmares are apparently going to intensify, indicating that something wicked is coming the way of Salem. This signals some looming danger that's bigger than the corporate fights and romantic battles we've been talking about. Maybe a hint of the supernatural or some large-scale threat.
And finally, that looming darkness might just have a very familiar face. The final major piece of speculation from the sources is the possibility of the infamous Dr. Wilhelm Rolf returning.
No, not Rolf.
Returning to Salem University Hospital, no less.
Dr. Rolf showing up is never, ever good news. If he comes back, the speculation is it might be part of EJ's secret plan.
Right.
If Rolf is back, you just know genetic manipulation, resurrection, or some other grand, creepy scientific scheme involving DNA and maybe immortality is just around the corner. That definitely ties back into the intensified nightmares Marlena's having, suggesting the Damaras are about to unleash some force maybe bigger than even they can handle.
It connects everything, doesn't it? The adoption conspiracy, the potential DNA tests, the Damara power struggles. Dr. Rolf arriving would basically be the ultimate confirmation that the core issues in Salem always boil down to manipulating nature and heritage for power. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow. Okay, so if we look back across this whole stack, we've unpacked incredible corporate betrayal. Philip trying to trick Xander, Gabi tricking Philip. A really sophisticated adoption cover-up using faked legal documents by Melinda Trask, of all people.
The DA.
And a total shift in loyalties, especially with Chad falling for Kat. And Gwen maybe lining with new, powerful people like EJ.
The sources have perfectly set the stage for the next few weeks, haven't they? They ensure the pressure just ramps up exponentially for the key players. Chad's facing deception from his new love interest and intense judgment from his family. And Steve and Brady are dealing with massive institutional deception from the highest levels of the legal system. And the stakes for the kids, Rachel, Tate, Holly, they're just escalating right alongside all the adult drama.
What really stands out to me, though, is just the sheer amount of calculated internal moral compromise we've seen this week, especially thinking about it in the context of Xander's anger management. We saw Marlena counseling Xander on his inability to forgive grudges, and then Philip immediately tests that resolve by faking a medical emergency.
So given the scale of lies and betrayals happening just this week, from the corporate schemes and loyalty tests to Melinda actually fabricating legal papers, we kind of have to ask ourselves, how much longer can anyone in Salem really afford to keep passing these loyalty tests? And when does self-preservation, just focusing solely on your own survival and your own interests, become the only viable strategy left? Maybe Xander, perhaps, is the character we should watch closest on that front.
That is definitely something worth thinking about until the next deep dive.
For sure.
Indeed. We will catch you next time.